Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with Brett Beveridge, the founder and CEO of T-ROC, the Revenue Optimization Companies, a sales performance agency specializing in turnkey retail management, operations, and outside sales teams. Welcome to the show, Brett.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you here today.
Brett, you grew your company's revenue from $23 million in 2014 to $85.1 million in 2017, a 270% increase. And in 2018, you hit around $146 million. Before we talk about how you grew your company so fast, can you briefly share what your company does beyond my quick intro and how your company differs from the competition?
Sure, be happy to do that. We are an ecosystem of various offerings that maximize the productivity of your retail strategy or your retail channel or your retail operation. We do that through the combination of people solutions and technology solutions. And think of anything from should you be in retail, if you should, where should you be, how big should your stores be, what should they look like, and how many of them should you have, all the way through to physically sourcing the locations, negotiating leases, building stores, and then operating them on your behalf if you so choose. You can have any of those services a la carte, but we find that the best results happen when we're involved in most, if not all, of the services I just described. So think of things like running your retail operation on your behalf. Think of things like visiting retail locations where your products might be sold and making sure that the sales associates in the stores where your products are sold are trained and they're knowledgeable and they understand why your product or service is better than the competition that's on the shelf right next door. We do mystery shopping, we do merchandising, and we also have very sophisticated technologies from our division called Mobile Insight, which is our software division that really maximizes the productivity of your field teams, ensuring that they are visiting locations when you want them to be visited, actually making sure that they're there when they say they're there using geofencing technologies. And by the way, we hold about 4 patents on geofencing technology. And then making sure that all the data that they collect from those visits is aggregated and can be reported upon in a way that makes it obvious for how you can maximize and make changes to maximize the productivity of your retail stores or your retail products in those stores.
Sounds like you guys do quite a bit. Do you have a huge team or do you have partners that help you with all those bits?
No, all of the services I just mentioned to you are homegrown. I started this company back in 2008 with the first division, which was called the Retail Outsource. And as we started to really get our footing and get our traction, our customers were pleased with us. So they asked if we could do more for them. And of course, as an entrepreneur, the answer is, of course we can, not necessarily knowing exactly how we would, but knowing that we would figure it out. So we just basically organically grew. And after the Retail Outsource came the Consumer Insight. After the Consumer Insight came Mobile Insight, which is that software division I mentioned. We also have an IT division called Symbits that has the ability to basically architect your retail technology strategy and procure it and install it and monitor it 24/7, 365. So when I said we have people solutions and technology solutions, you can see they're basically on equal footing, and we rely very heavily on technology so that our people can really be effective and spend their time building the business and taking costs out of the business instead of kind of antiquated processes that can hold you back.
Right. Now, are you working with a huge number of clients or you have a small set and you're providing all those services to them?
We mostly deal with Fortune 500 companies like Apple and Samsung and AT&T and Walmart and Comcast and Verizon and T-Mobile and Bose and all Belkin and all different types of companies. But we don't have hundreds of customers. We have, a couple dozen customers that are in that caliber. We have over 6,000 W-2 employees across the country. And we now have already begun our expansion outside of the US borders. So we have a very large team. We operate in all 50 states and Puerto Rico today, but we are very specialized. So we like to think of ourselves as a global company, but we think and act very locally and never want to give up that kind of personalized one-on-one customization and attention that we give to that smaller set of customers.
Right. Now, the 6,000 W-2 employees you have, they're not all working for you full-time, I imagine, right? You have a good number of part-time folks who do the mystery shopping here and there.
It's a mix. So we do have full-time and part-time, but they're permanent employees though. So they're working, every week. So it's not like they are active and then inactive for months. These are fully active full-time and part-time employees. We also, in addition to that, have a contingent workforce that we do call upon for various specialized projects or very large scale projects that need to be done in a short period of time. We have 20,000 of those contingent workers that are 1099 employees, 1099 contractors that can come in and fulfill some unique needs as that becomes necessary to do so.
Right, got it. Now, in terms of your business growth, you grew pretty fast, I'd say, 23 million in 2014 to 146 million in 2018. What were the three biggest drivers behind this growth over the past 4 years?
There are a lot of drivers, but I'll try to narrow it down to three. I would say first is our people division that provides the kind of the management of our customers' retail categories in big box stores. So think of a big box retailer that has an electronics department and that they happen to be not so good at selling complicated products and services, things that require kind of a prescription. So we are really good at selling complicated stuff, is what I tell people. So they engage us to become their electronics experts in their electronics department of their big box store. So we've seen a tremendous amount of growth over the last 3 years by executing more and more programs related to that function. We also have been investing heavily in what I call T-ROC branded stores. So they're not stores that are called T-ROC, but they are stores that are other brands that we own and operate and build. Think of a licensee type of a model. So we have about 85 T-Mobile stores. You really can't see the difference between a T-ROC owned T-Mobile store or a T-Mobile owned corporate store. We have the same inventory, we have the same fixtures, the same floors, the same lighting, the same signage, and we can do anything in our stores that T-Mobile can do with their customers in their stores. We've seen a lot of growth there. Last year, we also started opening Xfinity stores that are ours in Chicago and now in Pittsburgh and Detroit. And we were the very first company to open Samsung flagship stores. This was a fun story. I don't know if you remember the S10 launch just a couple of months ago. It was on February 20th. And Samsung, on the heels of that announcement of the S10 and the Fold, opened through us as a dealer 3 stores simultaneously at the same time across the country. So we had a store open in LA and Houston and New York at the very same moment in time on the heels of that announcement. And we see future growth with us continuing to be very focused on what brands we should be opening as a dealer for future growth for the next 5 years or more.
All right. So number one, people division, where you're helping the big box retailers sell complicated stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, are you putting your own team in there or are you providing training?
No. These are our W-2 employees. So we operate the store. We fully manage the inventory, the cash, the register, the customer care. We own the inventory in those stores. So it is think of a car dealership, but for Samsung, where it's really our people, our lease, our expenses, the whole operation.
Okay, yeah.
And the third driver you asked about, you said what were the first three, and I gave you the people and I gave you the branded stores. The third is our new division called FlexRock, and FlexRock basically handles all of our merchandising programs and all of our kind of seasonal work. So let's say holidays coming up and our customer wants to have, 200 people that are fully managed by us and are fully trained by us to sell complicated products and services in their big box stores, that division would handle, FlexWalker would handle that kind of seasonal work at the same time.
Okay. So for the first driver, the people division, where you said you help the big box retailers sell complicated stuff. And now, is that your people who are in those big box retailers selling it, or are you just training the big box retailer employees?
So we do both. So we have, we operate with my W-2 employees inside of about 1,300 big box stores across the country. So again, fully managed by me. It's not a staffing agency. These are high performance sales teams that are highly trained on selling, again, complicated and prescriptive products and services. In addition to that, we also do provide national training teams outside of that 1,300 doors that we operate. We also train associates on selling the products and services that we're representing for our customers. So an example would be, if you've heard of, let's say Cricket or AT&T. AT&T sells their products and services inside of Best Buys and Walmarts and Targets and Myers. So we have a national team that look like AT&T/Cricket employees, but they're my employees that are fully managed by T-ROC. And we are visiting those Best Buys, Walmarts, and Targets on a regular basis and ensuring that the associates, the Best Buy associates and the Target associates and the Walmart associates are fully up to speed on why AT&T or Cricket are better than the other wireless carriers, making sure they understand the latest rate plans, making sure that the displays in those stores that have AT&T and Cricket SKUs and products on them are organized and are up to date and fact tags are accurate. So think of almost like business development. We visit about 19,000 visits per month to various retailers to train their associates and to make sure that their brand is being represented properly.
Right. So the idea here is that AT&T would rather have you do it for them than having their own team go out and do all that.
In that case, that's correct.
Right. Okay. And what's the value that they see overall? Is it lower cost? Is it you just don't want the head count? What are they thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these large Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies are looking for ways to mitigate costs for sure, but they're also looking on many ways to optimize their business. So if there are things that they can outsource to a company like us that can do it better, smarter, faster, and more efficiently, and usually at a much lesser cost, then it's very attractive to them. And then once you get into the relationship, it only gets deeper and grows from there. So when you're able to save them a significant amount of the budget that they were spending on their own people, and they're getting a better outcome and their sales are growing as a result, it's pretty easy to do the math and see why they would decide to outsource that versus insource it.
Right. Now for the T-ROC branded stores, how did that idea come into existence? Where did that begin?
So in my first life, I started my first company back in 1989 while still in college, and bootstrapped with a partner, a classmate actually of mine, a mobile showroom. So basically started out of the back of a van. We customized this van and we used to drive around South Florida to malls and parking lots of shopping centers and banks, anywhere where there was traffic. And we would open our van, customized van door, and we would sell the one or two choices available for wireless phones at the time. And then we would deliver those phones back to them. It's funny, the name of our company was a huge name because the bigger you sounded, the bigger you were from that perspective. So our company name was Cellco Cellular, a division of Cellular Communications Network, Inc. And our slogan was, "We're mobile because you are." Well, we were mobile because we didn't have an office. So, and from that, we bootstrapped it and eventually grew that company through angel funding and bank debt and venture capital raises, and took the company public in November of 1997 with Merrill Lynch and Smith Barney. So we had about 300 stores across the country. We had over 1,200 employees. We had a paging division back when pagers were still around, in a distribution facility. So from there, I really learned that this whole notion that big box retailers are amazing retailers, but they're really not good at selling things that require kind of face-to-face, one-on-one engagements, things that require a deep level of training and understanding. to kind of right fit each of their customers. And that's kind of how T-ROC got its start, based on that identification of that problem.
Right. So who was your first branded store?
It was T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
So as we got deeper into this, like I said, we started T-ROC in 2008, helping others with their retail strategy. And then in 2011, T-Mobile, who we had a relationship with previously, asked if we wanted to start opening our own dealer doors. And it was attractive to me because one of our big problems was that those types of programs that we were talking about before have usually a beginning, a middle, and an end. Most of our relationships are many, many years, but eventually those relationships, for whatever reason, come to an end. So we wanted to have, to complement that great business, we wanted to have more what we call predictable revenue, and having our own dealer doors where we're on the lease and we have a long-term contract with our branded store partner, that we could complement the unpredictable revenue with the predictable revenue. And it's worked out really, really well up to this point.
Yeah, definitely. And you're applying the same expertise, right, in your own stores that you apply for your clients' branches.
Exactly right. In fact, our clients benefit. You asked what are our differentiators. I mean, that is clearly a differentiator for us. The fact that our DNA is physically owning and operating retail stores all the way for the last 3 or 4 decades, really. None of our competitors have that kind of DNA, nor do any of my competitors own and operate their own stores. So the mentality that we have is truly understanding how to make payroll, how to pay rent, how to be creative, how to maximize the productivity of that retail store, because if you don't, then you lose money. So we're really engaged with our customers and bring that kind of mentality, and always want to have skin in the game. We're not looking to get a fixed fee and not be concerned about the profitability of the partner, of our customer. We like to have skin in the game so we both win together and we both lose together.
Right. So how many of these branded stores do you have altogether? You mentioned you have 85 T-Mobile, and you also do Xfinity and Samsung. What's the total number of branches that you're running?
So you're right, 85 T-Mobile stores. We just started, as I mentioned, opening our Xfinity stores last year, starting in Chicago. So right now we have about 15 of those. We'll add another 20 or 25 of those this year. Probably over the next, say, 10 months, we'll have another 25 Xfinity stores. And we just opened, like I said, those first 3 Samsung stores, and that hopefully will grow. I can't really disclose how many, but it's a meaningful amount of Samsung stores over the coming years as well.
Right.
And we're looking at others, and we have a pipeline full of technology related companies that are looking to have a retail footprint. Anyone who thinks retail is dead is really definitely not connected to the retail space. Retail is alive and well and has tremendous upside. That doesn't mean that you won't see more retailers go out of business, but when you start seeing companies like Amazon opening stores and buying Whole Foods and doing deals with Kohl's, and you see all of these online brands now having a bricks and mortar presence as part of their omni-channel relationships with their customers, retail is far from dead. So we see that as a driver of future growth for us for many, many years to come.
Yeah, speaking of Amazon, I just saw my first Amazon store when I went back home to visit the folks, and I went to a big shopping mall, and I saw, not a shopping mall, a high-end shopping center, and I saw an Amazon store. Didn't walk in, looked kind of like a bookstore from the outside. And what do you think they're thinking? Why do they need a bricks and mortar presence?
It's a great question. And by the way, Amazon, as you know, they have Whole Foods. They've also opened their kind of small format stores that sell Amazon branded products and services. But they also are opening bookstores. I mean, the company that in 1997 said they would never be in bricks and mortar, and their main business started with books, and they put a lot of pressure on Barnes and Noble and others, are now opening bookstores, and you can find a big one in New York City. And the reason is very simple. In order for you to survive in retail, you have to have an omni-channel presence. There is no one channel of retail that will allow you to survive. So you can't just be online. You can't just be bricks and mortar. You have to be both, but you also have to do other things like delivery services, being able to deliver something quickly to your customers that don't want to order online and wait for their product and they don't want to go to a store. You have to have the ability to have order online and pick up at the store, or have your product delivered to your home but return it at the store. So all of those things make up an omni-channel presence, and even Amazon understands that they need to have retail in order to accomplish that. I'll tell you another little fun fact you may or may not know. And first I'll ask you the question, how much of retail sales, if you look at all retail sales from all channels, how much do you think of that comes from online retailers?
I'm guessing 13%. 1-3.
Okay, so it's a great guess. It's about 11%. So there's 89% of retail sales that are not happening online. Amazon has about 50% of the market. And of that 50%, only half of that comes from Amazon, and the other half comes from the Amazon marketplace, where people are leveraging their platform. So Amazon has 95% opportunity if it were to tap into bricks and mortar and other channels outside of online.
Okay.
To win.
Right. So huge opportunity if they grow their physical presence, right, by opening more.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see how there's some opportunity there, but it looks like right now at the current stage, it's a smaller than a drop in a bucket for them revenue wise.
Right. That's correct.
So for your third driver, the Flex Rock, can you give a little more details about that? You're talking about providing some seasonal help to the big box retailers.
Yeah, it's a couple of different categories. So first would be exactly that. So let's say, once again, you are a big box retailer, you have an electronics department, you have a lot of traffic coming in fourth quarter, you're going to have a lot more customer flow than you do throughout the rest of the year, and you want your customer experience to be magnificent when customers are coming in. You want it to exceed their expectations. So to have T-ROC in there through our FlexRock division that can provide that seasonal help, so an inflow of hundreds of qualified and trained and very engaged associates that can sell your electronics products and services with ease and can make customers feel special and that they're getting the right product or service that meets their needs, is highly valuable to the retailer for incremental sales. It's highly valuable to the retailer for customer satisfaction, and it's highly valuable to the customer who's getting more than they expect when they walk into one of these retail establishments normally. So we do a lot of that. Secondly, I mentioned merchandising. So merchandising is an industry that's broken today. It needs to be disrupted, and T-ROC plans to be the company that disrupts the entire merchandising industry. It's broken because no one is happy in the ecosystem. So let's say you're the retailer. You're very unhappy with the quality of delivery and the fact that you're supposed to have a display merchandised, but the person doesn't show up. The third party that's supposed to go doesn't, or they go and they don't have all the right materials in order to complete that merchandising program. So they have to come back a second or third time, and retailers get frustrated also because many times that doesn't happen, and they have to use their own people and their own labor hours to fix what the third parties kind of screwed up or didn't complete. Manufacturers are upset because they have no visibility as to when that happens. There's no really good reporting that tells them and shows them, here's what's been done, here's what hasn't been done, and here's why that hasn't been done and when it's going to be completed. And the third parties are generally unhappy because they're not efficient and they're working on very low margins. So when they have to go back a second time, they basically lose money when they do that. So we have aggregated an amazing team of experts from across multiple retailers and manufacturers to help us build from scratch with a clean slate a platform for merchandising that will remove those problems from the whole industry. And we're getting a lot of great traffic right now. As a matter of fact, we're one of only 4 companies that are able to go into a Target and merchandise on behalf of the vendors that sell in Target, or even Target themselves when they want to hire us to do things like overnight resets and things of that nature. So we see huge opportunity there, and we also see disrupting merchandising through things like robotics and artificial intelligence. So right now you have autonomous floor cleaners that are that are cleaning floors overnight, and we have ideas to attach video cameras to those autonomous floor cleaners that are capturing every shelf and every product on every shelf, making sure that everything is accurate, and where they have out of stocks, what are they? Do they have shelves and overstock that can be downstocked onto the shelves? What kind of reports can you generate out of that through artificial intelligence to tell you what kind of sales opportunity you have there? And then to make sure you're pinpointing and shooting kind of with a rifle when you're going to fix merchandising problems, instead of having someone see everything to find the 10% of the things that aren't accurate.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So when you say you built a platform, how does your platform work, and how does it solve the problems?
Well, it's a combination of people and technology and systems, right? So we have a very sophisticated reporting tool called Navigator that handles all of that kind of transparency and does a lot of the heavy lifting in the background to see, what can be improved and what is the opportunity cost when you have a poorly merchandised store with out of stocks, and what the customer experience looks like. And we have a fantastic team in the field that are highly trained and highly engaged, and are people who understand the retail business, that are out executing on those programs every single day.
Right. Now, how do you eliminate the problems that comes from third parties not holding up their end of the bargain and not delivering on time, or bringing the wrong stuff, or not enough stuff?
Yeah, that's the logistics. The devil's in the details, and that's where our technologies come into play. We also have a technology called Vision. You heard about Navigator. Vision is another tool that we use that gives us that insight and gives us the ability to have very detailed instructions, how to task and make sure that things are updated live on the spot, instead of having them have to leave and get instructions later. This tool has workflows so that they're not having to follow up when they need support through email or phone calls or other texting or other methods. It all is automated through the tool. So it's again a combination of having great management, have a lot of experience in the space, understanding the problems. It comes from the technologies that we use and continue to improve. And I really think it comes from having a clean slate. In this case, it's better to have zero legacy, antiquated systems and heavy, logistics, primitive types of platforms, versus picking and choosing the latest and greatest and building upon them to execute better today.
Right. Got it. So for 2019, what are your plans? What's your revenue target for 2019? You closed 2018 at 146. What are you aiming for in 2019?
We'll be in the mid 200s. So I would think 225 to 275. And the reason it's such a wide swag is because we have several our projects are typically large in scale. So we have a pipeline that is filled with opportunities of that kind of size and scope. So we're not sure we're going to get every single one of those. So I would say comfortably in the mid 200s in 2019. We have a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal to be $1 billion company within 5 years.
Right. BHAG. Yeah, I have I'll share with you another acronym offline that's not family friendly to say here.
No problem. Well, I can't wait to hear it then.
Yeah. So, and now how much of this is coming from your existing clients, the incremental additional revenue, or is part of it
the lion's share? The lion's share. I mean, when we do our forecast, the forecast you just heard does not include pie in the sky. It just includes one or two large opportunities that we just aren't sure the timing of when they're going to hit. But the lion's share of our revenue is from things that we already know about, things that we have line of sight to or have already signed contracts.
Right. Now, are you keen on expanding beyond the dozen or so Fortune 50, Fortune 100 clients you have, or are you comfortable? Okay.
So, no, of course. In fact, we're really making a concerted effort now. I'll give you one example. So, if you've been to a Price Club on a weekend and you're walking through the aisles, you of course are going to see people that are sampling food, right?
Yep.
People that are handing out little food samples. So that's not something that we're focused on. But what you'll also see is someone that might be demonstrating a blender, an emulsifier that makes smoothies, or company that's demonstrating why their knives are the best knives and demonstrating how their knives are better than anyone else's on the marketplace. Those are called road shows or pop-up retail. So, and I'm sure you've heard the term pop-up retail, recently as another omni-channel method. So we're in those price clubs, and we're actively performing those road shows in the U.S. and Canada, and soon to be in LATAM. So we will continue to look outside of technology and look to expand our services to other types of products and services. I mean, if you can sell technology, you can sell and organize and train on almost anything else. We're also expanding into the auto industry today, and we're meeting with dealers, and we have some really cool products that save the dealers money and also save customers a lot of heartache. We're expanding internationally, as I mentioned earlier, through T-ROC International. We've set up shop in 5 LATAM countries, in addition to the Canada operation that we have, because the people around the world have the same or similar problems as those here in the United States. And since we've gotten a pretty good handle on how to solve those problems here, we want to try to help others in other parts of the world solve their similar problems as well.
Right. So for you to get from 146 to 250 or so in a year, what's the biggest challenge that you and your team needs to overcome?
People. It's really tough right now with unemployment as low as it is to make sure that you are attracting and retaining and developing the best quality people. We spent a lot of our time, that's probably the lion's share of our time, is making sure that our team, our employees, are feeling valued and that they're feeling like they have a career, not just a job here at T-ROC. We spend most of our marketing dollars on internal sources to make our employees feel connected to the T-ROC culture and to the T-ROC brand, and that they feel like they have purpose and they're a part of something big, and they have the opportunity to move around from project to project instead of having to quit and move and go somewhere else. So it's all about people. We truly are, everyone says they're a company of people, but we truly, the biggest brands on the planet, engage us for our people and the skills that we have and we bring to the table. So that is absolutely top of mind, reducing attrition, increasing retention, and attracting and developing the best quality people that we can.
Right. 3 last questions for you. If you were to have a T-ROC billboard along a freeway that's moving pretty fast, what would that message be? And keep in mind that people typically drive by billboards within 6 seconds. So you don't have a lot of time to get your message across.
That's a good one. T-ROC combines the power of people and technology to maximize your sales. Or T-ROC, ... we sell complicated stuff. We are good at selling complicated stuff.
Yeah. One phrase you said earlier that I thought would make a really good billboard message is retail is far from dead. Find out why, T-ROC.
That's cool. Yeah. All right. Do you mind if I use that?
No, go right ahead.
I'll give you props.
All right. You give me some free samples of your products, perhaps.
You got it.
All right. And 2 last questions. Who are your ideal clients, and what's the best way for them to contact your team?
So I would say our best clients are clients that are kind of struggling a little bit with their sell-through. And it doesn't just have to be retail. It can be, which we would call B2C, obviously, but it can also be B2B. I mentioned we're getting into the auto industry, so that's a B2B type of solution. So anyone who's struggling to sell through a product or service, someone who is struggling with trying to understand how they bring their product to market, and how to make it, if it's a retail situation, how to make their product retail ready, and or if they're an existing company or manufacturer, how can we bring our platform to bear through that combination of people, services, and technology solutions to dramatically increase their sales, and at most times do that while at the same time we're lowering their cost. And as far as how they can find us, they can go to trocglobal.com. We are actually very soon going to be launching our new website, but you can visit our current website there. And you can see us at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under the @AskTROC, then that's ASKTROC. I'd love for you to follow me at Beveridge for Instagram and Facebook, and @Beveridge on Twitter, and Brett Beveridge on LinkedIn.
All right. And would you like to spell out T-ROC Global for the folks out there?
Sure.
Your website?
TROCGLOBAL.com. TROCglobal.com.
All right. Brett, it's been awesome having you on my show today. Really enjoyed hearing how you grew your company so fast.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here with you today.
We've been speaking with Brett Beveridge, the founder and CEO of T-ROC, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit eversprint.com.